Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we are taking a look at the Virpil R1 Falcon Rudder pedals. These pedals are absolutely fantastic and probably the elite of the rudder pedal industry, if you will. But let's talk more about it in today's video. Stick around. One app designed to do it all. Hangar Control brings everything together: control bindings, hardware configuration, mod and profile management, application launching, add-ons, config files, and more, all managed from a single application. Mods Hangar goes beyond just mods and add-ons. It manages profiles, config files, text files, backups, snapshots, and helps keep your community folders clean and organized. Application Hangar launches your entire sim stack with a single click. Your Stream Decks are fully controlled through the Hangar Control plugin, while all of your other Stream Deck plugins remain active and available. Built by a simmer for simmers, Hangar Control adds new features and hardware support every week based on community feedback. It's a one-time purchase with lifetime updates, no subscriptions. You can try it for free for 5 days with no restrictions at overkillsimulations.com. Just create an account, head to your account page, download the latest version, and get started. And if you're looking for in-depth Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft tutorials, check out my Patreon site. Links to Hangar Control and Patreon are down in the description below. All right, folks, so first off, a big shout out to Virpil. Thank you very much for providing these for a review. Now, getting straight into it, I have, over the last few years, made it no secret that I absolutely love Virpil products. But it's important to keep in mind with Virpil, there's always going to be a trade-off. Yes, they are probably the most expensive on the market for the general consumer, and you usually have anywhere from a 1 to 2, sometimes more month wait time. But I will promise you, when it comes to Virpil products, they are worth the money and they're worth the wait. For me, what separates Virpil from anybody else is the ease of customization. They always have a ton of customization options that come with the product. Very seldom do you have to buy anything extra for your product. Usually, if it comes for the product, it's in the box. I think the only kicker here would be the optional dampener. But this is definitely a kit that is fantastic. So their new packaging style threw me for a bit of a loop. I'm not going to lie, definitely caught me off guard. As you saw, I fought with that box a little bit. But Virpil being Virpil definitely has a reason and a purpose, and I like the layout of it. It made it a lot easier to access everything that we needed. So right out of the gate, you have the option to change out your detents. The pedals already have a very strong feel to them. There is a ton of adjustment options that we're going to go through, but man, I could not wait to get these things up and running. Obviously, you have your screws and your hardware. Those are for mounting the pedals themselves, and we'll talk about what to do with the extra ones here towards the end of the video. Now, once you get yourself a pair of wire cutters or whatever you need to cut the zip ties off, you have your 2 angle mount brackets. These allow you to mount the pedals at an angle if you wish, sort of get them a vertically kicked off offset. I did not choose to put those on. Personally, I feel like that would be a very weird feeling, but it literally allows you from the vertical axis to rotate the pedals slightly if you choose to go that route. You won't be seeing that particular piece in here. Again, I chose not to go that route. You have 3 different cam options for your, or detent options for the Z-axis. You have a strong detent, a softer detent, and a virtually no detent. Now, at the moment, I left it, it's got the strong detent in by default, and we're going to do our testing with the strong detent. I am very big on testing plug and play. You know, what are we all like when we first get a new product? You want to get that box open, you want to get them plugged in, you want to really check them out. But I can tell you right now that the end goal will likely be either the very soft detent or no detent at all. I am not a huge fan of detents. I know it really just depends on what your style is like, but I prefer to go with a 0 detent situation. So we're going to be swapping the cam out probably later on. It probably won't be in this video, but that will definitely be the way that I go. And I do appreciate that these already come in the box. One of the things that I don't like about some of the competitors is you have to buy cams and adjustment kits separately, and I just don't like that. I think it's wrong. If it's made for the product, put it in the damn box. You know, even if you're going to charge a little bit more, you know, the necessity to purchase third-party or third action items is kind of, I don't know, drives me crazy. So long story short, I appreciate they're in the box. The pedals themselves I really appreciate too, because you have the option to mount them on an inward or an outward positioning. So it's not huge, it's a couple of inches, but it does give you the ability to sort of, if you like a wider stance for your feet or a more narrow inlay, or maybe you've got some cockpit restrictions. You will need a 2.5 millimeter Allen key in order to get these out. They do not come with the box. There isn't any tools or hardware that came with it. And then if you also want to adjust anything that has a bolt or nut underneath it, like the cams, you will need a 10 millimeter wrench. Now, the process here is very, very simple, guys. You can see, simply unscrew the screws that are already mounted into the plate, into the footrests, and then replace them with the footrest in your desired position. So you guys sort of obviously probably catch the idea of what's happening here. I'm going to go ahead and skip past this part. Okay, so now we've got those pedals on. The thing that you want to pay attention to with those extra screws that we were talking about is you would use them and the corresponding nuts that are in the bag. You place them in the empty holes. I'm not going to worry about doing that for this particular video. Like I said, I kind of want to just get them together, and it's sort of, I guess it kind of depends on how you think, but for me, it's like my feet are going to be covering them. What do I care if there's screw holes showing? So I decided to just keep them in the bag for now. Now, again, I wanted to change the cam out here, but I wanted to be able to give you guys the feel of everything and the review straight out of the box in a plug-and-play situation. So I almost did it. And again, those are the angle brackets that go on the pedals and allow the pedals to be mounted at an angle. What you would do is take the two screws out that I'm pointing at here, lay it down. Now this actually belongs to the other side, so I want to make that very clear. That would go on the opposite end, and then it allows you again to give a vertical tilt to the pedal. For me, that's a no-go. I think that would be weird, but I really do, again, appreciate the customization options. You can see there's the tension spring that we talked about earlier. Remember, the stronger spring is already attached, and you have the adjustment damper already attached to the pedals too, which does make a very, very nice difference. Allows you to adjust the tension of the pedals on the fly, and as well as the axis range. You also have the ability here to adjust the tension spring slightly on the pedals themselves for the toe brakes by simply moving the hook down, and then you have the vertical offset as well that you can adjust by loosening the nut, and allows you to either flatten or increase the lift on the pedals. Perfect. And now let's set up these wonderful rudder pedals. So what we're going to be looking for here, and the reason why we're going with a helicopter is because I have always said, you really want to test out rudder pedals, go with a helicopter, because the helicopter, you're going to be on them more. You're going to be on them more, and more importantly, you're going to be using them in a fine-tunement more. So this will tell us what we appreciate about the detents, the tension. Now, we're not obviously going to be using toe brakes in this, but I mean, a toe brake is a toe brake is a toe brake, right? Where the actual Z-axis for the rudders, that's not true. I'm sure we've all used good ones. We've all used some bad ones. All right, let's get Hangar Control out of the way now for a minute. Let's see what we get. So right out of the way, getting my feet on them, they feel very nice. The action, even with that center detent, so we have the center detent, and I can certainly feel it, but it's not what I thought it was going to be when I was pushing on my hand. I will definitely still be trading it out, I'm pretty sure, but let's go ahead and start adding some power in. Whoa. And this is what I'm talking about. So I'm already on the pedals. Action is very smooth. The default springs are very nice. They have good tension. I think I might tighten them up a little bit more. I don't know that I definitely don't want to switch out the springs. I can tell you that right now. That spring that's in it by default is the high tension spring. I definitely wouldn't want anything less. As far as the center detent, I will probably be removing that cam and going with the no detent cam. I don't like the center detents on rudder pedals. I actually don't like the center detents on just about anything. But the overall feel of these, the action is very nice. The default angle from a seated position, right now I'm in an office chair, so just a standard seating position, they feel very nice. There's not any tension on the top of my heels, or on top of my ankles, the top of my foot, like some do. I'm adjusting my feet right now, deciding at what how they feel when your heels are on the floor. So I have to push them back a little bit because I had them resting on the heel rest, which really isn't a heel rest. You know, if you think about a standard Cessna, it's more of a, you know, you put your heel on the floor while you're using the rudder, and you only bring your feet up when it's time to use the toe brakes. And again, this is why I highly recommend testing with helicopters, because a helicopter you're always making those fine movements, and you do to some degree, you know, coordinated turns in an airplane, but not in the same way. The tension is the same almost all the way through the axis. Yeah, I don't like that center detent. The center detent, I will say, I'm definitely going to be removing that. I think they should ship the Falcons with the no detent cam, but that's okay. And the range of motion isn't crazy. So it's like a perfect balance. And what I mean by that is the actual extension of your leg as you want to actuate the rudder pedals. Okay, so a lot of them, you know, even the new Moses, you really gotta, you know, you got a lot of range that you can push. Now you can adjust that with a lot of these, and I'm sure these are no different. And there is an available damper, as you guys saw. I believe the damper is optional. But the actual range seems to be, yeah, almost perfect. Right about the time that you start feeling some extension in your leg to the point where it's like, all right, I don't want to do this forever, is where it stops. So it's got that perfect point. It's a very clear stopping point, but yet feels soft. So it doesn't feel like you're ramming your foot into a brick wall or something. Yeah, I am really liking these. I'm very impressed. I would say the actuation and the overall feel of these pedals, this is a close battle. I do think I like these better than the Moses, but it's close. What I like about these, I think, more than anything, is the type of pedal that they used. So where Moza, it was definitely designed more around resting your heels on the pedals, right? You to keep your, that's why it has got that heel rest. So it really depends on which route you're going for. If you like the idea of keeping your feet on the pedals at all times, like actually resting your heels on them, that way you always have action of the brake pedal, then, you know, Moza might be the winner there. But when it comes to just being able to relax and rest your feet down on the ground while still using the rudders when necessary, yeah, it's that detent that I don't like. Definitely be removing the detent. I think these Virpils have it. Try to maintain a continuous orbit here using just the rudders. Terrible orbit. They're very responsive, very high accuracy, which I know most are. So obviously when it comes to build quality, well, it's Virpil. In my opinion, when it comes to build quality, nobody beats Virpil, and I don't think anyone ever will yet. in my opinion, Virpil, I just think, always wins with build quality, ease of customization, ease of option. However, I will say that, again, Moza's new rudder pedals are very close. So you wouldn't go wrong either direction. Now, this isn't meant to be a comparison video, but they are they are very similar. I will say the R1 Falcons came out first, so I do want to sort of point that out in case anyone's curious about that, because I'm sure you already picked up on some similarities. But I swear by the Virpil controls when it comes to certain aspects, and that's always been the customization portion. The different cam options is definitely a big piece. The ease of swapping things. I do like that you had the ability to set your pedals inward versus outward. You know, so even those couple of inches can make or break it when it comes to comfort. So let's go ahead and bring it down here. There we go. A lot better than landing from the other night. So final thoughts are, again, you guys probably catch it. You can't go wrong with Virpil. Now with Virpil, you're going to spend the money. Okay, they are more expensive. I do think they are more feature rich. I do think the build quality is slightly better. And I do say slightly because I'm not going to put anyone else down in this particular situation. Now, we are referring to the only comparison that I really believe is currently out there that I have personally used, I don't want to speak to anything I haven't used, is Moza. The Moza pedals. So I do think Virpil comes out on top here, but it's close. I think that the cam option is fantastic. The option for a lighter spring, the dampener kit, you throw it all together with the ability to slide the pedals in and outward. You know, whether you want a wider stance or a more narrow stance, the ability to rest your heels down on the floor, I think, is a much more relaxing feeling for me personally. Again, obviously they both have the ability to do most of what I mentioned, so there's some contrast there and some comparison there. But these are a fantastic rudder pedal. I don't think you can go wrong either way. The thing about Virpil that I will always say, Virpil, you're going to wait. Usually sometimes it's anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 months, depending on what you're buying, for their product to reach your doorstep. You're going to spend a bit of extra money, but I will always maintain that Virpil is worth every dime and every minute that you wait. I have never had anything go wrong with my Virpil products. They are always extremely easy to set up. You can use their software to tweak things even further, but for the most part, they are very plug and play. That's why we didn't change anything today. I didn't swap out the cams or the springs or anything like that. I wanted to know what it was. If I wanted to just, damn it, I want to open this box up and I want to start my Virpil rudder experience, and I do that with everything. I don't like changing things out in the, before you even tested them. And out of the box, it's already a fantastic experience. So I would absolutely recommend these. Definitely recommend these. And I hope you guys found this video useful, and it gives you something to think about. If you guys are interested, make sure that you guys, if you're in the United States, you do shop Virpil and look for Shop Virpil USA. It is very important that you pick the USA website to make things easier for you as far as traffic time. And then you guys know the drill. As always, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. To Virpil, thank you very much for providing these for a review.